were a contestant on Provo's Most Eligible.
I was.
Can you tell everyone what that project was?
Yes, Provo's Most Eligible, aka the Provo Bachelor. On set a couple weeks ago for a movie that I was on, a kid ended up having a seizure. And luckily I was trained as an EMT and stuff, and so they called cut. I run down and I'm helping this kid.
Oh
so
my
it was
God.
kind of cool. I was oh, look at that, full circle.
Okay, we are here with our great friend Teo.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. Appreciate
How
it.
are you? We're so excited.
Our
to
great
have
friend's
you.
a little strong. I've met him twice, but cool.
But he's
But we
so
can be great
friendly.
friends, right?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Oh my gosh, we're so excited to see you. It's been years since I've seen you.
Yeah, I think 2 years? Probably just over 2
so.
years since the last time I saw you.
Yeah,
You've traveled all over the world and come back to Utah somehow.
You could say the West, the western region of the U.S. Not
Go to Arizona
not
and New
like
Mexico's
you.
world traveling.
I
but-
mean, Mexico, right? New Mexico.
yeah, it's the new version.
You're the one that's full on actor, big time actor now. So
Yeah, it's been crazy.
okay, so cool. So tell everyone a little bit about yourself, what you're doing.
Okay, hi, my name is Teo Santos. I am a full-time actor and model. Most recently, I've worked with Peloton, Gillette.
Okay.
The majority of my work is mostly commercial work.
Delta.
Delta, yeah,
so,
that's probably
so
one of my
we're
big
seeing
sets.
Peloton commercials that you on a bike somewhere.
Yeah, it will be a bike and me boxing.
Oh, so it's not out yet.
It's not out yet.
Oh
It'll-
my
Stay tuned.
gosh.
Yeah, it'll be
Okay.
out at, I think, sometime next year.
That's exciting.
Yeah, but my goal is film and TV, narrative work. And so luckily this year I did 6 movies and 1 TV series.
Wow.
Oh my
pilot.
gosh,
So
look at you.
That's pretty busy for an actor, right?
yeah,
That's good.
it's been great. I've been pretty blessed.
And it's so cool because your background isn't even in acting
No.
or theater.
No.
You were going to be a doctor.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So how did that happen?
Oh gosh. Basically, I graduated school as a biologist, got my biology degree, started working at the Huntsman. While I was there doing cancer research, I ended up signing with my now agency. I did some freelance modeling while I was in school, and I got paid $50 for some sock modeling and some free socks
Not
and pizza.
sock modeling.
Yeah. And I don't know, I liked it. And then when I was at the Huntsman, a buddy of mine was like, hey, we're filming a commercial in Bountiful. We need a brown guy. Do you want to do it? And I was like, I'm your brown guy.
You're
And so,
we've searched all over Utah. We need you to come
you're
in
the
for
only
this.
one here.
Yeah.
So I did it. I had a blast. And so I reached out to my now agent. They signed me the next day. And 3 months later, I quit my job. And a little bit after that, I decided not to go to medical school and to pursue this full time. And it's been a wild ride.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you. I'm going to be honest. I saw you a few years ago. We were on the set of the Book of Mormon videos
Yes.
together. And you told me you had just quit your job, right?
Yeah, it was
Before?
2 or 3 months after I quit my job. Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Mimi's like, you're not going to make it.
just-
Doctor,
That's
actor,
because
good
you're
luck.
so smart, and I'm like, I know he can do it, but I think that's just my personality. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I hope he's okay. But look at you.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, you and my mom both very worried about if it was going to work out.
Who
but
knows who's more worried between Mimi and your mom? It's hard to
Oh
say.
my
It's
gosh.
probably
No,
about the
probably.
same, honestly.
But
But look at me now, Mom.
literally on the 3rd hour podcast, you can
Look how far I've come.
Yeah.
This is
Okay.
great.
Streaming to tens, even hundreds of people.
Yes, 100%. Soon to be millions.
Wow, that'd be
So
something.
tell us about your experience doing the Book of Mormon videos. So tell everyone your role and how that went for you.
Yeah, and so I got the casting through my agency. They were casting for all of the apostles.
And this is 3rd Nephi. So
Yeah,
it's
yep.
the best part of the Book of Mormon.
Yeah, best part, the epicenter, right? This is what the Book of Mormon is about. It's another testament of Jesus Christ. This is the meat,
Yeah.
I think. And so I got the casting and I auditioned. I sent in a self-tape just from home. They liked it. I went in and read in person to a couple of the directors and the casting director. And next thing I knew, they had called me as Mathoni, which is one of the 12 apostles in the Nephite
Did they do that because your name is Matthew and they went Mathoni? Like,
I think so. I think it just ended
they're
up
like, that's
working out.
close. Yeah, just put him in there.
Yeah, make it Mathoni. I don't know.
Do you pick John or do you pick Matthew?
Yeah, who
Matthew's
knows?
close enough to Mathoni.
Yeah. So and so I got chosen to be Mathoni.
Which was like, you ended up being one of the main, like the main apostle, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like you were in a lot of the scenes.
Yeah, I feel like I was in a lot of the scenes. I had quite a bit of dialogue. I think some of the dialogue got cut out just because of editing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was in a lot of the scenes, and it was an interesting experience. It was interesting because I feel like when I was in medicine, it was daily like fulfillment, right? Of like, because I worked in medicine for a while.
Yeah.
And it was like every day I'm like, oh, I'm like making a difference, and I feel like I'm changing lives. And when I became an actor and like modeling, I'm just like, oh, I guess I'm not going to feel that as much. Like I get a different sense of fulfillment of like, oh, I feel like my life's mine. I'm like an entrepreneur boss, you know?
You could save lives as an actor, you know?
Exactly.
I mean, stop the whole world from getting blown up, you know?
Yeah,
So-
actually, funny story. On set a couple weeks ago for a movie that I was on, a kid ended up having a seizure. And luckily I was trained as an EMT and stuff. And so they like called cut. I like run down and I'm like helping this kid.
Oh
so
my
it was like kind of
God.
cool. Like I was like, oh, look at that, full circle.
The cameras are
Stop,
still
that's
rolling.
Yeah,
and
they're like, oh my gosh,
perfect.
look at him.
Yeah, they're like, this is better than whatever we were filming before.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But like when I was like, I guess I'm not gonna feel this feeling of like, you know,
Yeah.
this fulfillment that I think came from being in the medical field. And it was a surreal feeling when the Book of Mormon series came out. The first episode came out on YouTube, and I watched it. And you know, I saw my performance, and I'm like, it's so weird watching yourself back.
Yeah.
You know, and I looked terrible. I had a huge beard, and like,
Oh my gosh, your ponytail.
I had a ponytail. I gained like 20 pounds. Like it was not the best
Wow.
look for me. But I remember like when I saw myself and I saw the other, you know, cast, and I saw Anthony who's playing Christ, and just to see it all come together, I started crying. Because there's that sense of fulfillment of like, oh, I'm involved in a project that means so much to me. Like it's a book that I believe in. And to have a book like that come to life on the screen and to like show people who like it's sometimes the Book of Mormon is hard to understand or whatever it is. And for them to be able to see it on screen and bring a story that I believe in so much to life meant a lot. And it felt very fulfilling of like, oh, like this is the kind of art that I want to be doing. Not necessarily only religious art, but the things that I think can inspire people, that teach people a new story or bring things to life that maybe people didn't know about.
There you go.
Um,
And so from now on, commercials, you're only in star in ones that actually you believe in the product.
yes, 100%. Unless they pay me a lot of money.
Peloton?
Yes.
Peloton seems like a good brand.
Peloton's was pretty great, honestly. It was
And
a lot
Delta?
of fun. And Delta, I
Yeah.
mean, best airline in there,
Oh,
right?
yeah. You've got a good track record.
Yeah.
No, that is so cool. And like, I mean, I was only there as an extra. You see like the back of my head for 0.2 seconds, but like it was so cool seeing you up there as like one of the apostles and like with Christ, and just being on set. Like for me, I don't know, just like being around other people that look like us, first of all, was
100%.
so cool. And just like being there, it helped me visualize the Book of Mormon so much better. Anytime I
100%.
read those chapters now, I see them in a completely different point of view, which I feel like you can also get from watching the Book of Mormon videos. But like being there was such a cool experience that's helped me just like understand things better.
Well, it's like almost like you're living it. I mean, you're not living it, but it's like you're recreating this experience that you believe in so much, and you're like, oh wow, there are parts of this is kind of how I imagined it, you know, in a way.
Yeah, and you're like, these are real people, just like me.
Yeah.
Like when we were there, when there was downtime on set, all the extras were like, okay, what's our backstory? They're like, okay, based on your dress, like you were like, you know, a wealthier Nephite woman, but you know, you lost your husband in war with the Lamanites, and like we're like, we're like just joking around, but also at the same time, it's like, no, these people were real. They had lives, they had families, they went through like personal experience. I don't know. It was really cool to think that through. I like in a way I hadn't before. So
Yeah, it's really special when you like consider that. I mean, in any acting, right? That like whether it's a real story or not, like whatever character you're playing had real lives, and especially with the Book of Mormon, it's like no, these are like real people who experienced
people.
this, and it's like wow. Like imagine to be that.
Yeah, the
and to live that.
destruction, like losing their homes and everything. Like everyone dying. Like, well, not everyone, but like so many people dying.
Yeah.
Like, so sad.
Well, and that was a
So-
crazy scene to film because they actually
my
lit
gosh, yeah.
the huts. They had like straw huts behind where we were filming, and they literally lit it on fire.
No, it
And
was
so I was, like,
insane to watch.
wow.
I think a foot away from a huge burning building. And so like
You'll
if
be
you
fine.
see,
You're okay.
yeah. So if you see my reactions on it, like it was pretty intense. Like my back burned a little bit. It was like,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, not
Actors,
like
that's what happens,
It was
man.
like a second degree burn, but it was
Throw them
like
in real fires.
yeah, but it was very believable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good thing they had a doctor on set. Or
Yeah, right. I
an
could-
almost doctor.
An almost doctor,
Treating your own burns.
right?
Okay, I have to tell everyone too how we actually met.
Yes.
The first time. So
Oh, gosh.
even before the Book of Mormon videos. This is so funny because I feel like it's such a niche thing that
Very
like
niche.
some members in Utah at this specific point in time will remember. But you were a contestant on Provo's Most Eligible.
I was.
Can you tell everyone what that project was?
Yes, Provo's Most Eligible, aka the Provo Bachelor.
Before they got attacked by Warner Brothers or whoever it is.
Yeah, and then they had to rebrand to Provo's Most Eligible after a lawsuit threat. It's funny because I actually never planned on going on that show. Like, I didn't submit myself to go on that show.
You
'cause
didn't?
No,
I
I
didn't
didn't know what
know
it
this.
was. And so I had a few
Oh.
friends who apparently submitted my name, and then I just got an email one night.
Wow.
I was like, Matt, you've been selected to like come in for an interview for Provo's Most Eligible. And I was like, what is
Selected.
this?
Oh
and
my
selected, I was like, who? I never, wanted
Because
to
this
do
is
this.
before you're acting or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, no, I had like I wasn't a theater kid, no background in acting or ever
Yeah.
anything. I like watched The Bachelor with like girls I was dating. It's like the like extent of like what I knew. So anyways, I like searched like Provo's Most Eligible.
Is this
And-
even real or is this spam?
Yeah, I'm like, what is this?
Very specialized spam mail I'm getting now. What the heck?
With like my full name and like, do you want me for an interview? Weird. I looked it up. First season, incredibly cringe.
Oh my gosh.
It was
so cringe.
So I couldn't watch the whole first episode because it was so hard to watch. It was
And
so
that
hard.
makes it so accurate. Like the amount of cringe, like that's dating in Provo.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm not doing this. So I threw it up on my story and I was like, who submitted me for this show? My friends came out and were like, you should totally do it. I submitted you, whatever. And then I had just moved to like Provo from Florida. I didn't have a lot of friends. I
Oh
didn't
my
know
gosh,
a lot
I
of
didn't
people.
realize you had just.
Yeah, so I moved to Provo, June, July of 2018. And I think I started getting that email was like probably September, October.
Oh my god.
And so like I didn't really know anyone. Like
Yeah.
my roommate was one of my best friends from Florida. But I didn't really have a lot of friends. I was also like working full time and like had a volunteer job and like was going to school full time, right? So I just didn't have a lot of time to like do a lot of extracurricular stuff.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh, you know what? This might be a good experience to like meet people.
Yeah.
And so I just went in. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm just
Meet
gonna
your
go in it.
soulmate, no big deal.
Yeah. And so I was like, I'm just gonna go in it for jokes
Yeah.
and make whatever happens happens. So I go in for the interview. It was great. They called me in for 2 more interviews.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Why was
You're
it
serious.
so? They took it so
They
seriously.
took it seriously. It was wild. Going for 2 more interviews, passed, I guess. And like, I was just kind of taking it as a joke all along. And then I got an email and they're like, we would love to have you as a contestant on Provo's Most Eligible. So
And so it's a dating show. It's essentially The Bachelor, but it's set in Provo.
Yep.
A Members of the church, I think.
there were a
right?
few
Or-
non-members
Okay.
that were on the
Just
show.
people from
But-
Provo area.
People from Provo
but
area.
Very much like LDS vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I
like
mean,
LDS dating culture.
Yeah, I feel like if you're doing it in Provo, it's hard to not have it.
They weren't drinking and smoking on set. And
No.
Yeah.
yeah.
It was like Diet Cokes and like, let's go
And
to Divine
swig.
Comedy.
Yeah.
yeah. So, but it was like, honestly, the pinnacle of Utah, like Provo culture at the time. Like, I was going to BYU at the time. Every single one of my classes, they were talking about it.
Yeah.
And it was on YouTube. Like, it was,
Yep.
like, they took it very seriously, but it was like, it was a YouTube thing.
Yeah, it was a
But,
YouTube
like,
series.
there were watch parties.
Yep.
There were, like, you go on campus, everyone's talking about it.
Yep.
And what made it even better is, like, there were people there who were also students at BYU. So people, like, knew them. They're like,
Yeah.
that guy's in my English class.
Yeah.
And, like,
No,
he's,
literally.
he's
That actually was
on
me.
episode
There was a guy
3.
in my English class.
Yeah.
Wait, I forgot. Who?
I don't remember his name.
Oh, my, Eric.
Well,
I
clearly
could-
wasn't very
It's,
memorable.
I can literally tell you the entire cast. I'm kidding. I
Do
don't
you
remember.
remember?
No, I don't remember actually that even happening. But
Oh,
But that's the thing
I
is
don't
like
remember his name. I mean,
it was
it's years
all,
ago now.
it was close to home. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like people knew people had dated people, and it was funny because like we started reacting to it on my YouTube channel just because like it was so funny. Like to not, you know what I mean?
No, you just
like,
kind of had to.
you
I
just
don't know.
had to. We
Had
could
to
like
ride the hype wave,
Yeah.
try and get some
well,
views, you know?
we were like doing cast reactions. Like we were
Yeah.
treating it like The Bachelor.
Yeah,
like how there's a
literally.
podcast about that. But anyway, it was so funny just to be a part of that culture. Like I
Niche,
still can't
yeah,
believe that
yeah.
happened.
It was wild.
Like I don't think there's been something like that at BYU since then. You know what I mean?
no,
like, it was
and
just
like I
so
think
big.
back on it, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I did that. Like I kind of hope no one ever finds it, but at the same time, I'm like kind of happy I did it because
Yeah.
like as cringe as it ended up being. I mean, again, like I didn't really know a lot of people, and so the guys, we actually all became pretty good friends.
Oh,
And
I
so
love
most of the
that.
drama that you saw was like, at least between the guys, there was a lot of drama between the guys and the girls. Lots of drama there.
Yeah.
But between the guys, all that drama was kind of created.
Oh, yeah,
It wasn't
okay.
scripted, but the drama was kind of like made.
Right.
But the guys all became really good friends. And so after the show, we would like all bring our own little friend groups and just hang out as like a 50-person friend group. And just like, so I just met a ton of people. And so
Yeah.
I'm like equally embarrassed that I did it, but as I am like equally kind of happy that I did it
you
because
Totally.
it kind of made my college experience here at
The
BYU a
payoff
little
was
better.
worth all the cringiness you went through.
I guess so, yeah.
I literally want to go back and watch it now. Like it's just so funny and so
Yeah.
fun and like
I don't know if I could go back and watch the
Eric,
whole
we're gonna do it on the car ride home.
That's a
We're gonna
lot.
put it on.
Bless you, Eric. I believe in you.
I'm like, I can handle like part of an episode or something. Be like, oh yeah, that was funny. But
Yeah.
like to watch the whole season again, that's a lot.
Also, like they like didn't edit it a lot, and so it was like 2 hours long every
Yeah.
episode. I'm like,
It
wow.
was. But people ate it up. It's like
Yeah, people
why
watched
not?
it. I remember on Instagram, I was getting DMs from like some girls in like London who were like, "Hey Matt, we really liked you," and I was like, "Dope, thanks." And so like I got
Fly me
followed-
over, let's hang out.
Yeah, I was like, I guess fly over and we can hang
Were
out.
so many girls DMing you? Because you didn't end up with one of the girls.
No. So
that
I
were on the
actually,
So they knew
show.
you were like on the market after. They're like, let's go.
yeah.
Yeah.
I got a few DMs. I didn't say a lot. I
Just like
also
30,
didn't get the
40,
most screen
200.
time, and I didn't make it too far in.
Yeah.
The guys who made it more far in got way more like follows, likes, and like way more DMs.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, no. You were a favorite for sure.
Thank you.
You were great to
It
watch.
was a lot of fun.
So I had to touch on that. Another question, like a fun get to know you question
Yeah.
we wanted to ask you is how do you feel about like publicly praying like at church? Is it something you
Yeah.
volunteer to do? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Like where
Publicly
are you?
praying at church. I'm like for it, you know?
Literally thought you were like, how do you feel about publicly praying? Like, we need to stop it.
Oh, no.
No more
my
publicly
gosh.
praying.
I'm like
asked
against,
this-
like, I will not pray in a
Literally-
restaurant, you know?
In our closets only. It's in the book.
You're gonna die. I asked this to our audience as a poll,
Mm-hmm.
and I wrote, "How do you feel about praying at church? Do you love it? Are you neutral, or do you hate it?"
Yeah.
And people were messaging me like, "Do you want us to stop praying at church?" And I was like, "Do you really think that I'm asking?" And I look back, I'm like, "Yeah, I could see how they
You're like,
thought
I can
that."
see how you
Do
understood
you
that.
love when we pray at church, or do you hate it?
Should we like stop prayers at
How many,
church?
how many people
I mean-
said they hated that? And I'm concerned. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, I think some
It's like
people
30%
got it.
were like,
Stop praying at church. Stop.
People were messaging me. They're like, "I think it creates unity." I'm like, I'm not saying
It really breaks up the action, you know? Like, let's just jump into it.
Yeah.
And when we end one meeting, let's go right to the next. What are we
Sometimes it's
doing?
fun, like someone gets up there and says a prayer and it's more of a story, you know? It's like a 10-minute prayer and you're just like, all right, this is going to be over at some point. I like say amen over and over in my head. I'm like, and amen. No, just kidding. You're not done. Okay. All right, we'll just keep waiting.
Oh my gosh, some people are so like say the longest prayers.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you feel about it? Like,
I don't know. Here's the thing. Public praying at church, I'm actually for it. I think it's a way. I don't know. I think it's a way.
You doing it yourself.
Oh, me
being
doing
the
it
one
myself?
to go up.
I don't
Oh,
mind.
yeah.
I don't mind it. It's-
Prayers in church, you're good.
yes,
Yeah,
no,
prayers at
we
church are
we
good.
need to keep praying at church.
Keep
Oh
praying at
my
church. It
gosh.
is good. You know, keep doing it. No, I actually enjoy it. I can't say like when they ask for a prayer, I'm not like me. You know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think that's my personality. But like,
Yeah.
if the bishop asks me to pray in sacrament, or like if no one's raising their hand, I'm like more than happy to say it. I actually enjoy it because I kind of, I don't really change it a lot. I feel like sometimes like people like kind of change how they pray personally versus how they pray in public.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's just something
They
I've
put on a
I've
show
noticed.
for everybody else, you know?
Yeah, a little bit, you know?
Just more, I don't know, frou-frou.
Yeah, more a little for more like
Yeah.
extravagant
Just
maybe.
doll it up
Yeah.
a bit.
Which like isn't a problem at all. Pray
Yeah.
however you want to pray. But I kind of take it as an opportunity to just kind of bear my testimony and just say something from the heart, right? And so, yeah, I don't mind it. I think I actually really enjoy it. It's like a little thing I get to leave with, the congregation, and hopefully God is listening. And
Hopefully he listens. Okay,
you're
We
right.
saw
you're
that
right.
one right now.
You're right. But yes, I like it. I think it's kind of fun.
Okay.
I'm a fan.
I love that.
Yeah.
Good for you. Love that for you. I want
Mimi's
you guys
like, I
to...
don't agree.
No, I would
Your
say...
opinion's wrong, but it is
No,
yours.
I'm really happy because there's a lot of people who dislike praying in church.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's good to have some people who like it or don't
Yeah.
mind it. So I asked the poll, do you love it, neutral, or hate it? And the results might be skewed because some people thought I was asking a different question. But about 60% of people said they were neutral on it.
Okay.
27% said they loved it. And then 14% said they hated it.
Oh, so that's a good amount.
Yeah, so some of the responses too with hate it, some people were like, I would rather give a talk than be asked to say a prayer,
interesting.
like in sacrament.
Just because it's on the spot, they don't have time to prepare.
I think so. And some people, just
see
like
that.
aren't like comfortable speaking in front of people. And so
Yeah.
maybe if they feel like they can prepare, it's a little more comfortable.
That's fair.
Just write your talk down. It's fine. Came from the heart at some point.
Yeah. Right.
But I love what you said about how like you just speak from the heart and like kind of bear your testimony, or like when you
Yeah.
pray, because there was someone who responded and they said, I don't like praying at church because I feel like I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
And so I love your advice.
Yeah,
And I think it's like there's no right or wrong way to pray.
Yeah. And like I do it the same way I do it like next to my bed. I'm just
Yeah.
like, I just kind of pour my heart out and
You should put your
Ask-
head down on the pulpit.
yeah, I just like put my head down, and just, like really, and
Set
just
the
kind of pour my
pokey to
heart
make
out.
sure you're still awake.
Pretty sure my bishop fell asleep once, maybe. Maybe I'm the one that tells the long stories in my prayers. But yeah, no, it's just a little moment for you to get to pour your heart out and ask for whatever you think is going to be needed for the meeting or for the class, and say your gratitude, say thank you for whatever you've been given. So
Totally.
yeah, I think it's an easy way to like really bring the spirit in to
I
whatever's
think so
happening, right?
too.
Yeah.
I think so too. Don't put too much pressure on yourself.
Yeah,
guys.
it's
Like,
easy. Yeah.
Yeah, don't think too much about it, because I feel like other people don't think too much about it
Yeah.
either. You feel like people are like gonna judge you for what you're saying, but like usually they're just like, okay, amen. Like
Yeah.
they listen, but they're not like, that was such a weird prayer.
Like,
You
oh
know what
my
I mean?
gosh, can you believe she
mean,
prayed for that? Oh my
To be-
gosh.
That has happened though.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, you've heard a couple of those prayers. We're like, whoa.
Yeah. You're like,
Oh.
Do they really just?
really? That's what we're asking for? All right.
Okay. Another thing we wanted to do like a little fun segment with you.
Let's do it. I love fun segments.
We are gonna did you ever do MadLibs growing up?
Not really.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, this
so
is
this is
your
fun.
chance.
He's like, I actually hate them.
So do you
Like,
know,
no.
like, you know what
I don't know
MadLibs are, right?
I don't think I do. Like, I've heard it for sure before.
so
but
where
like,
there's like fill in the blanks and you put words in. And...
You'll see.
I don't know if I've ever actually played it.
Okay.
Like, I definitely like recognize it, but I don't think I've ever actually like played it.
Well, this is your chance.
I'm here for it. Let's
Everyone
do
watching, this is like, you get to watch Teo's first time doing a MadLib, but we're gonna do it
it. Okay.
extra fun.
Lovely. I'm so excited.
because It's a church podcast.
I'm so excited.
We're gonna do all church words.
Okay.
So you'll see here, it's like noun, adjective. We have to put in only church things. Okay.
Okay.
So let's get started. And then it's going to tell a story at the end with all the words
Okay.
filled in.
Dope.
So plural noun.
Plural noun. Temples.
Ooh, yeah. See, you got it. You know your nouns.
Sometimes.
That's really what we're trying to test you on.
Right?
Like, do you know the difference?
Is this
Don't
the
ask me
real
what
reason?
an adjective is or an adverb. I still don't know what adverbs are.
Well, unfortunately, adjective is third on the list. So let's see if you get it right.
all right.
Well, Eric, you can say some too. It's another noun.
No, we got to put him on the spot. We got to make sure he knows.
Another noun. Okay, person, place, or thing. Right? I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
that's what a noun is. Okay, cool. Let's put Nephi.
Ooh, okay. Nephi. Okay. Adjective.
Adjective. Has to be a church adjective.
Yeah, see, these are kind of hard, so that's why we can all kind
What's a
of...
churchy adjective?
Like, what are things that people say that are, like, culture? You know what I mean? Like,
Okay. First thing that comes to mind is, like, spiritual.
I was just thinking
right?
spiritual.
But, like, yeah, maybe something along those lines? Or
Yeah,
just that
no,
one?
that's great. Spiritual. Oh, wait, okay. Now everyone's going to see my spelling.
There you go.
My spelling's going to be exposed. Your grammar is going to be exposed. Okay.
Another noun.
Yeah, another noun.
Actually, a bunch of nouns in a row.
Yeah,
lots of
Eric,
nouns.
you give some too.
Hymnal.
Oh,
Ooh, I like that one.
hymnal.
Let's do. Where's Joseph Smith from? What's the town called?
Palmyra.
Palmyra.
Okay.
Yeah, but Palmyra. That's a place.
Palmyra.
It's odd. It's just noun because usually like they say like place, object. Because like if they're like he threw the Palmyra, you're like okay. We'll see how this turns out. Though.
Yeah. It's all my fault if this turns out incorrect. All right, another noun. Let's do church basketball. Is that a noun? No, that's not a person, place, or thing.
Church ball.
Church ball, is that a thing?
Just
Put it.
like a verb. Maybe
Yeah.
there's a verb.
Well, I mean, it's
Oh,
not.
adverb. Dang it.
don't-
I don't know what that is.
You don't church ball someone. You know, like
That's fair.
it's not a verb. It's not an action. You
so
do.
we'll
Yeah,
do
just
so
put it
church
down.
ball. Okay.
Yeah,
See
church
what
ball.
happens.
Okay.
Another adjective. Descriptor word. What's a descriptor word?
Yes, you are correct.
Peaceful.
Okay.
Okay,
Peaceful.
that's so cute, Eric.
That is very
Adorable.
You know.
Okay, another noun.
Liahona.
Leahana,
Oh.
I'm here for it.
Okay, adjective type of food.
What in the world?
Wait, what?
What? Sacrament? Bread?
But
Ready?
Bread? Oh, it has to be an adjective.
adjective
Yeah.
type
Stale?
of food.
Oh!
Yo,
Yeah,
we've all had
stale.
some stale sacrament
Oh,
bread.
we-
I'm just
Okay.
putting that
For
out there.
sure.
Like,
Okay, here
not
we
that
go.
it matters. It's the same thing, but like, yo,
It's happened.
that sister who makes that homemade bread, yo,
Yes.
just saying, like, no better way.
No better
There you
way.
go.
Adverb. I don't know what this
Adverb.
is. I honestly cannot tell you what an adverb
So
is.
It's like an adjective, but ly at the end. So like
Oh, okay, okay.
slowly. Or
Okay,
like, yeah.
okay. The first thing that's coming to mind is spiritually, but we already have spiritual.
Oh yeah.
Just
Oh,
put
that
it
would've
for
been a
all
good one.
spiritually, spiritual.
Oh, reverently.
Reverently,
Ooh.
yeah.
Okay. It'll autocorrect.
Ooh.
It'll autocorrect.
There
Okay.
we go.
Noun.
Oh man, we're still
Another
rolling.
noun.
This
Okay.
is long.
This is long. Okay, it's okay. We're gonna make this work.
I'm trying to think of a fun one.
Potluck.
Ooh, I like that
That's a
one.
good one, Eric. Okay. Another seer stone.
Seer stone.
Ooh.
I like that.
What one were you gonna
I
say?
was gonna say Jello.
Yes.
Well, you could just put Jellos.
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 Should we do Jellos? Okay. Oops.
Wow. How many L's you put in Jello?
Jello.
I know everyone is watching me.
Oh my, we are.
Wait, this is so
Okay, we're getting
long.
there, we're
Okay,
getting there.
okay.
We're getting there.
Okay, and enter an
Adjective
now.
noun.
A descriptor
Oh.
that's also a person, place, or thing.
Yeah.
Okay, Eric, you go.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Eric knows more.
That's
Eric.
odd.
I feel like my excuse is I wasn't born in America, so I think it's okay if I don't know my grammar.
There you
perfectly,
go.
maybe.
I like to say I'm Asian, but I was born in America, so that
Yeah.
actually.
I mean, I did all of my schooling in America, so I like should know.
You're like, I was
Oh my
two,
gosh.
but not still. Those
Yeah,
2
but
years are very
still.
formative.
Should we
Adjective,
just
noun.
do an adjective and then a noun? I don't know what it's asking.
Well, like it's like when you use a noun as an adjective.
What? What do you mean? Could you give an example?
Well, probably like you could do a color. Like a color could be an adjective, but could it also be a noun? No, I don't think it can actually be a noun.
I mean, I guess
confused.
blue, like the blue.
The
Like when you get it
blue.
out of the blue, it's like a
Yeah.
noun. But then I guess
Should we just do blue? I don't know what
that's
to
a pretty
put.
churchy word.
Yeah,
Book of Mormon's blue. Done deal. All right.
blue it is.
Blue.
Blue it is. Blue is now an adjective noun. If you didn't know, it is.
Go.
Okay, now.
Another noun.
Okay, another noun. Let's
Final
do Lucy Max Smith.
Oh my gosh.
I'm-
Full name.
I'm surprised they didn't say anything about like a proper noun anywhere, or like,
Yeah.
actually asking for people.
Yeah.
So
We'll see.
we're really gambling with these. Plural
Enter.
noun, scriptures.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
That's good. That's
Good one. Adjective.
Holy.
Ooh.
Saving that for the end.
Yeah, there you go.
Plural noun.
Plural noun. Another one.
Angels.
Oh, I like that.
Cute. Okay.
Go mad.
This
I
is wild.
literally searched
I have
this-
no idea what's gonna come up.
Yeah.
This is
Either.
exciting.
I feel like this
I-
could just crash and burn hard.
No, I vetted these stories, but it was like months ago, and I don't remember what this is going to be at all.
Nice.
So this is going to be a surprise for
Well,
all of
fingers
us.
crossed.
That's some preparation. Reading this months ago for today.
Next door neighbors.
All right.
Ooh.
We have new temples living in the Nephi next door.
That's close. There is a city called Nephi.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're almost
It's
almost there.
working. He is a spiritual salesman
Okay.
for a hymnal company.
Okay.
Okay.
And she teaches Palmyra in a private church ball.
All right.
We're teaching about Palmyra at
During
church ball.
I mean,
Yes.
sometimes you need to proselyte a church ball. They need,
know.
they need some help.
Lots of non-members go to church ball, so I'm just saying.
Last night, we were invited to their peaceful home for a potluck Liahona.
Maybe a reading of the Liahona?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We brought a stale casserole.
Yo, that is accurate, though. That is
Accurate.
so accurate.
We didn't even have to put casserole. It was already there.
Yeah, it was there. Wow.
After dinner, we went into their reverently decorated family potluck.
Oh,
Wait.
also
That's
accurate.
second
Oh
potluck.
my gosh, 2 potlucks in one night. That's
We
crazy.
love this. Also reverently decorated. I'm just imagining like that home where you walk in, it's just like home goods quotes all over the place, you know?
And then just temples and pictures of
Live,
Jesus.
laugh,
And done.
We sat in front of their roaring seer stove.
Dang, they
was-
have like
it
a
was popping
huge
off
seer
that
stone,
night.
like it's like on like a pedestal.
All
just
sorts of visions flashing by.
And we toasted Jello.
like your little Jello cups, and you can just toast them.
Yes.
That's so accurate. That's what we do
Oh,
after
wait,
every
you say
church
toast
service.
like this?
Yeah, that's what I was. That's what I
Oh
was
yeah,
thinking.
no, you didn't roast them. Like
oh my
you drank,
gosh, stop.
you
Why
drank
is this
Jello
working?
shots, but they're just Jello.
Yes,
It's
just,
just
green
Jell-O.
Jello. Okay, before we left, our host insisted on taking out his blue, which we
The name of his dog?
which,
Yep.
which we mistook for an ancient Lucy accent to play a few country scriptures on it.
Some country scriptures, y'all.
Country scriptures.
Hey, y'all.
That's
Basically,
wild.
the Nashville tribute band is what that is.
How is adjective now supposed to mean an instrument?
Who knows?
That is so weird. Okay, all in all, it was a holy evening, and since then, the 4 of us have become as thick as angels.
Yo, these angels thick
Yeah.
though.
There you go.
Wow, this was
Oh my
fun.
gosh, I am surprised that actually turned out pretty well.
Yeah, that
It
was
worked.
it kind of worked.
worked.
A
Yeah.
couple of them were. Yeah.
Also, why did 4 of us have 2 potlucks?
It's a lot.
It's a lot of food for 4
That's how
people.
you get as thick as angels.
Yo,
So,
facts.
it's
Well,
the
I guess that
only
makes
way.
Well, I
sense.
think like the saying "thick as thieves." Like that's what they were going for there.
Oh, yeah,
like, they
that
were
makes
tight,
sense.
Oh, I thought it
not
was like-
large. Not. I mean, after 2 potlucks in one night, I guess.
Oh my
Bulked up
gosh.
a bit.
Eric's here just like telling us exactly how it is supposed to be taken. And we're just like, yo,
Right?
thick. 2 C's. I don't even know. Am I allowed to say that on
Oh,
a
yeah.
YouTube podcast? I don't even know.
It's
You're good. This isn't general conversation. We're fine. Oh man, that was fun.
That was way
We'll
fun.
have to do this again.
Yeah.
Please.
It actually, I had no idea how it would turn out if we would even be able to think of so many church
Did it go
words,
in
but-
order of like the things that we used?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
That's how it usually happens.
Yeah.
okay, cool.
This is how MadLib works. I hope you enjoyed your experience.
That was so fun.
Now you've been
Do it
introduced.
again.
I think I want to MadLib again at some point in my life.
Yeah, you should.
Off the record,
You were a natural.
like that was pretty poorly done. There's other ones like give you a little bit more to go off of, so you know what the
Don't
heck
say
you're
like put an
doing.
animal, put like a name.
Yeah.
Oh, like a very
It's like
specific
that.
noun. Or
Yeah.
So that way
specific-
you don't say I threw my Lucy Mack Smith into the Jello, and you're like, oh.
You're like, I don't know if that works. Ah.
Oh my gosh. No, that was fun. Okay. Well now, oh man, I don't have a good transition. Now we're gonna talk about doubt.
Ah.
I mean, who wouldn't doubt after seeing that? So
Yeah,
No, well, we have an advice segment on our show.
cool.
And we got this Instagram DM, and so I wanted to get your take on it. Sorry, that really was like an abrupt transition.
No, it's okay.
But I really want to get your guys' takes on this message we got, and it's kind of going to lead into what we wanted to discuss tonight. So, Eric, do you want to go ahead and read it? Sorry, do you want to read it? I can read
Sure,
it.
I'm happy.
I feel like
I'm the
you usually
designated
read it.
reader, but you always make it weird. Like, are you okay?
Like, are you sure you're okay to like read it, babe?
She's like, you're gonna read every single advice segment. Like, okay, cool. And
Well,
then-
I just feel
Are
weird
you
because
sure?
I introduce it, and then I'm like,
That's
okay,
fine.
take it away, Eric.
That's, just
I know, I
throw the
just need to own
popcorn.
it.
Let's
It's
go.
probably fine.
just own it. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay, go ahead.
I love this podcast so much. Wow.
Oh.
Is this why you picked it?
Aw.
They're flattering you.
No,
Mimi's
why
my
just
favorite
me?
person ever. She's so great.
No, it doesn't say
yeah.
that.
I love this
Mimi is
podcast
pretty
so
amazing,
much. I'm a convert and joined the church last June. I actually wanted to reach out and ask for advice. I just got endowed this Saturday, and I'm kind of struggling right now. I loved my endowment, but the second room made me extremely uncomfortable and anxious. And what I'm feeling is this normal? It was very overwhelming, and I've been trying to process it all. I love the gospel, though, and I always love my garments, but I'm kind of upset right now with the way I feel. I guess it's something new. I'm also the only member of my family, so I can't talk to my family about anything.
Oh, okay. Yes, that was
Didn't end with a question mark.
Yeah.
So.
I'm assuming
Question
when
was
she
kinda in
says
the middle.
the
Is this
second
normal?
room, I'm assuming that's like the endowment because I'm assuming
Yeah.
she's initiatories and then her endowment.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh,
So
I was
Is
thinking of
that-
it
or-
the other way because there's some temples that have multiple rooms when you're doing the endowment, and so you go from one room to the
Oh,
next, and then
interesting.
into the last.
Yeah.
See, that could have
Hard
been
to
it
say.
too.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, I'm like, when you go through your endowment, there's like one room, and then there's a celestial room. So I'm like, but she would have just said that. So I don't know.
Or in the
But in some
initiatories,
temples,
it's
like
So it's some.
but temples, there's the first room,
Yeah.
and then
True.
there's the
Yeah.
next room, and then
Yeah.
there's the celestial
Yeah.
room, right? So,
Yeah.
so you're literally moving through 3 rooms.
Or you like
Yeah.
start in the chapel, and then
Yeah.
who knows?
We don't know
one
what
of these
room
rooms.
you're talking about
Yeah.
specifically, but I think that won't stop us from like what would you say to this person?
Oh, you know what? I think it's great. I think it's great that you're feeling what you're feeling. I think
I'm happy you have doubts, and you'll feel good.
I actually am though. Like I think God has like given us a mind to use it, right? And I think the moment like that we're feeling doubt or conflicted, I mean, if you read about early day church apostles, like they were very conflicted and confused.
Yeah.
Nephi was conflicted and confused when he was asked to kill someone, right?
Imagine if he didn't have those feelings and confused. You're like, all right, let's go. You're like,
Ah, you
everyone
know?
reading it's like, man, are you all right?
Yeah, like I
Flag.
think, is he a sociopath? And no, I don't know. I think doubts are actually very healthy. And so to this person, I think, I think the more you go to the temple, the more you'll kind of get used to kind of what's done there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think I also like when I went to the temple, like my mom's advice to me was like, hey, it's a little weird. Like that was my mom's advice to me. And she was just like, just go and like, don't focus on anything else other than just how like the spirit, right? And like, just feel how the peace that comes from being in the house of the Lord. And that's how I went into it. And I think the more I focus when I go to the temple, the more I focus on just the peace of just like the stillness, the fact that I'm not in the world, the more I think I get out of being in the temple. And I think if you focus on that, I think eventually at some point the doubts will work themselves out. And if they don't, that's great. I think like Enos, I think we should all have something that we can struggle through, because as we struggle through that, I think that makes our testimonies get stronger.
Yeah. No, I love that. And to this person, I would also say like you're not alone.
Yeah.
Like
Oh.
I feel like so many people come out of the temple going for their first time and they're just like, wow, like that was great. And like you hear a lot of the positive, which a lot of people have really positive
And it's great,
experiences.
yeah.
But I feel like there's not a person that's gone through that wasn't like, whoa, okay, this is different, you
Yeah.
know, because it's different than what we do in church. It's different than what anything I've seen in the world or in the media.
100%.
It's like it's very, very different. So to this person, you're not alone. The feelings you have are not bad, like you said.
They're
Like
not bad
having
at
doubts,
all.
it's so normal. It's good. It gives us an opportunity
Yeah.
to grow and learn and try to understand things more. And so I think that's okay. And just remembering that the temple wasn't formed by the world
Yeah.
or people in the world. It was formed by God. And that's why it's different than anything that we
Yeah.
experience in the world. It doesn't make it bad. It's different. Keep going. And yeah, like you said, it'll kind of work itself out, hopefully, or if not, I don't know.
Yeah. And I also think, like, I know you said that your family's non-members, which I totally get. The majority of my family aren't members. But I think it's okay for you to talk about it. Like, find some friends, some people that you can find with. I think it's something that needs to be done reverently. And of course, there's some things that, that shouldn't be said. But I think for the most part, the church has been pretty open recently with like, hey, like we can talk about like more or less like what happens in the temple, right? And so I think if you find someone that you trust and be like, hey, whatever part of the temple that you're referring to, like kind of made me feel weird. Like, can you like explain to me like what this means? I think a lot of confusion and doubt oftentimes comes from like, oh, what does this mean? Or why is this done? And I think as we can consult and talk with others, we can kind of get more of an idea of why that is. And so I would encourage you, whoever you are, to like find someone and talk to them. Totally. Whether that's your bishop or whether that's a close friend who's also endowed, I think it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right?
I love that.
Eric, you're a bishop. You tell me. Am I totally wrong?
Sure. Actually, I mean, Mimi made a Instagram story or something recently that like aged me up as a bishop, and everyone was like, "He's too young to be a bishop."
Yeah.
Like, it was a joke, guys.
The Facebook moms didn't get it. They're like, "How is he so young?" Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking, it's interesting. I mean, the hard part here is we don't obviously know what her concern is. But I guess that would kind of be my thing, is to just suggest to take a look at where that concern is coming from. Because I know, like, for me, when I went through the temple, the part that was like weird to me is I was like, oh, it's just very ceremonial and very structured that way. Like, everyone's like, oh, it's very symbolic. Like, I think what they're trying to say is like, it's kind of weirdly ceremonial compared to everything else we do.
Yeah, 100%.
It's different. And so like everyone just told me, oh yeah, it's very symbolic. And so I was like, okay, there's gonna be like some symbols, I guess.
Sure.
But I was not expecting like, oh, like very ceremonial, like ritualistic, like that kind of thing where I was not expecting that. So that kind of threw me. So I was like, oh, it's odd. It wasn't what I was expecting. So I was like a weird vibe from that, but I was like, oh, it was just kind of different. And I guess unexpected. I just kind of keep saying the same thing, but that's all like I want to say like negative feeling, but that was the only thing I had. But I'm curious like where their feeling was coming from. Like, was it what was shared? Was it how it was shared? Was it just, that's kind of the hard thing for me is like, first take a look at where your negative feelings coming from. Why are you feeling that? And then try and take a step back from there and say, okay, great. Is this a question of something doctrinal I don't understand? Is this a question of like, oh, that was just kind of different. I didn't know what to expect or, whatever it is, and just kind of take a step back and try to figure out why you're feeling what you're feeling. Yeah. Because then you can go and take that step further. Like what you were saying, Teo, about all these people in church have had questions over the years. It's like Joseph Smith had so many questions. Yeah. That's how we got answers that we have now, is because he said, I don't understand this. Let me dig into it. So, same thing here of figure out why you have those negative feelings. Like, what is it that you're actually questioning or trying to figure out, and then try and dig into that thing and find out more about it.
Yeah, 100%.
Totally. This is a great question. Really, we're praying for you. We love you. And send us an update too, so we know how you're doing. But we had some other questions we wanted to ask you about with doubts. Something that I think is really common as well for like our generation is just seeing a lot of people our age leave the church.
Oh, so many.
So, and like be pretty public about it. So like, how do you handle that when it feels like everyone is leaving around you?
Or do you feel that way?
I do feel that way, actually. I've had quite a lot of friends leave the church, and I support them in whatever decisions that they want to make. But I think every time it happens, I kind of look into myself. I'm like, oh, okay, let's check in. Like, why am I doing this? I remember like a few weeks ago, I was driving to church and I was like, this is kind of wild that I am a 28-year-old man driving myself to church. No one is forcing me. Like, my mom isn't like, go to church. She would be, but like, she's not, and I'm just like, I'm like actively choosing to go to church. And I thought, I was like, why? Yeah. Right. And I think it's good to think why, like, why am I doing this? Right. And it always circles back to what my mom taught me as a kid. And I think that it's completely shaped how I practice my religion and why I go to church. My mom taught me since I was a kid is the number one reason why you go to church is for Jesus Christ. It's the number one reason you go. You go to worship, to take the sacrament, and to form a connection with Jesus Christ. That is the number one reason you go. Because the moment you go and you're looking at Christ, the moment you go and you start looking around, that's when you fall away. A lot of times, not always, but a lot of times that's when you start looking at what people are doing or how people are reacting. And I've had lots of very negative experiences with people in the church, right?
Yeah.
But the reason those experiences don't let me go is because I believe in Jesus Christ. And I believe, and I have a very firm testimony of the things that I believe, and of the doctrine of Jesus Christ, and that God is our loving Heavenly Father. And those very key tenets of our religion that aren't, like Joseph Smith said, that aren't appendages, right? And I think the more I focus in on that, the more I'm like, yeah, this is why I stay. This is why I'm driving to church at 9:00 in the morning, running late. It's because of this, because I have a solid testimony in these things, despite all the other crap that is happening, or, you know, despite friends that I have that are choosing to leave, or, you know, and that's why I stay. I mean, I remember being like 12, right? And like it's when you get the priesthood as a kid, right? And I remember thinking like, oh, okay, had this been in the 70s, I wouldn't have gotten the priesthood.
Wow.
Kind of wild, right? Because of the
and that's like not that long ago.
That's not long ago, right? My mom was alive, right?
Yeah.
And so like that idea of like, had I been born in the 70s, I wouldn't have gotten the priesthood at 12 because of, you know, that people of African ancestry weren't allowed to have the priesthood. And so at 12, I'm like facing this dilemma. I'm like, oh gosh, had I been born before, I wouldn't have had the priesthood. And so, but I was like, but again, that to me didn't matter, because no matter what reason it was for, whatever, I don't know if I knew this as strongly at the time, but I wanted to believe, and I knew that God was my loving Heavenly Father, and Jesus Christ was my Savior. But now, resolutely, I can say that. And it doesn't matter. All that appendage stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I know the Book of Mormon is true. I know Jesus is the Christ. I know God lives. And that keeps me going to church every week.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. That
Yeah.
reminds me of what my mom used to tell me too when I was in Young Women's. And I just remember going through a phase where I'm like, I don't fit in with everyone. Like, I don't like going to church. It's not like, it's not fun. It's not enjoyable. And my mom's like, that's not why you're going though.
Yeah, 100%.
I was like, but I don't have friends in Young Women's. Like, who am I going to sit by? She's like, Jesus
Sit by
wants to be there.
Jesus.
Like, sit by
Jesus is next to you.
Yes, he's in that empty chair. But I don't know. It's such a good reminder of like why we really go.
Yeah.
Especially when I feel like so many members, and I'm guilty of this, get so caught up and like in callings and the activities and like things like that.
And there's a lot of purpose to that too, right? Like, I mean, we are supposed to love one another as we love ourselves, right? And so I think secondary after, like, the main reason why I'm going to church is to look to Christ, but then the reason after that is to help those around me, in whatever way I can, right?
Totally.
And so I think the church really facilitates a way for us to do that, through activities and callings and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
I love that. That just reminds me of something Eric used to say too. Just how when you would go to like church or activities or whatever, you'd be like, I'm there to like look around and serve other people. Yeah. You're like, I don't go for myself. It's like I go and I look around and I'm like, okay, who here can I help? Who here needs me? And I think that's a really beautiful way of looking at it too. If you're feeling like you're missing that aspect, maybe if you're feeling like, oh, like I don't fit in, or like looking inward a lot, like try looking outward, because I feel like that can change your whole experience, and that's what Christ would do. So
yeah, I agree.
That is always, I always remember you saying that. So.
I forgot I said that.
I just want to pinch your cheeks right now.
I don't even remember saying it. So there you go.
Yeah. But I think that's like the same reason, like why, like, no matter any doubt that I've had, that is always what I come back to, is that, okay, no, this is true.
Yeah.
Therefore, whatever I'm struggling with, whatever I don't know, I believe that someday God is going to make it all work, right? Yeah. There's the article of faith that says we believe in everything that has been revealed, everything that will be revealed. And so I think there's a lot to be revealed yet.
Oh, totally.
And I have a very strong testimony of that. And I think that keeps me going through my doubts. And I think it's healthy to have doubts. I think God has trusted us with the brain. And as he says in the Doctrine and Covenants, he asks us to study it out in our minds. Yeah. And so I don't know, I think it's really important.
That's such a great reminder, because I feel like we often put so much pressure on ourselves, and like we know, like, oh yeah, the church started from questions. It's okay to have questions. I feel like people say that, but like you're like, do they really mean it though? Like, is this question I have?
Is this too big of a question? Yeah. Like, am I only allowed to have small questions?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I think that comes from like some generations, right, above us, who were like, it was kind of like, you don't ask questions. You just go, you do, and this is why, no questions asked. go forward. And I think our generation is
Just
very
forget that stuff and just move on.
yeah, like that doesn't matter.
Right.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
And I think our generation's like, no. Like I have questions and I want them answered right now. You know, and I think all our parents are just like, don't have questions. Just I don't know the answer. Keep going. You know.
Oh, totally.
And I think being in the space of being like, oh yeah, I kind of like being uncomfortable with the questions that I have, and I don't know. I like it. I like being able to study it out in my mind for however long I need to, right?
Yeah.
Until I figure it out or until I die and God tells me.
Okay, I love hearing you say that, and it sounds so healthy. But I feel like there's so many people who like may have doubts about certain things and may feel like I don't want to just be ignoring this or pushing this aside. So like, what do you have any advice for people in that kind of scenario?
I wouldn't say ignore it. I think ignoring it, I mean, the same way I think most guys and people in general, but a lot of guys ignore their emotions and push it down, right? Very unhealthy. Get a therapist. But I think in the same way, I think the more you ignore your problems or your doubts, I think a lot of times the bigger they grow. And so with the doubts that I've had in the past and that I currently have, I study it out. I go to the scriptures. I go to conference talks. Sometimes I'll go to Google and like read what people are talking about, right?
Yeah.
Whether even if they aren't necessarily part of our religion, don't necessarily agree, I think it's good to just read and, you know, take as much information as I can in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's good to just linger on, just sit on them, just sit on that doubt until you figure out. It's like when I don't know if you guys ever took calculus, right? But you get like a really difficult math problem and you're like, I don't know how to do this. Sometimes like you just kind of need to look at it, or you go to your professor and you're like, hey, I like don't know how to solve this. How do I solve this, right? That could be a bishop. That could be a friend. That could be anyone. And they can be like, oh, well, this is kind of what I think, right? And you're like, oh, okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. If you minus the 2, whatever, right? X, Y, whatever, you know, you can kind of start figuring out the problem, right? It's interesting. I feel like no scientific theory or thing has been figured out all at once. It takes a lot of collaborative effort to prove a scientific theory, right? Like, why isn't it not the same for questions we have in religion?
That's such a good point. It's not that different.
Yeah.
And I wanted to add one last thing too. It's just like when you have a doubt, it doesn't make everything else not true.
No.
Like, I feel like it's so easy to start spiraling, being like, well, if this isn't true, that would mean this isn't true. And then this isn't true. And my whole testimony is built on lies. Like, I feel like it's so easy to spiral and get to that place.
100%.
But I feel like it's okay to have questions and still have a testimony of other gospel principles.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling like you're in a place of doubt, I want you to pause. Like, it's okay to have that. Don't shame yourself for having that doubt, but pause and look back and say, okay, what do I believe to be true?
Yeah.
And I think you can realize that like you can have that doubt and still have a strong testimony of other things. And I think that's crucial as you're on your faith journey, to not let that kind of let you go down a rabbit hole.
And I would even say, like, I would even just think, right? Like, what is my testimony rooted in? Like, what is that? Because to me, God is our loving Heavenly Father. Christ is our Savior. The Book of Mormon is true, right? Yeah. Because if the Book of Mormon, I mean, it's crazy. They teach you this in the MTC and growing up. If the Book of Mormon's true, then this is true, then that is true, right? And that's why it's the keystone of our religion, right? As they say. And so I think if you have a testimony, you know, if you go back to the Book of Mormon and read it, like, do you believe this book is true? Yeah. I think it's a great place to start.
And go in with an open heart.
Yeah.
Like, go in not even expecting, but like being open to having that answer.
100%.
Yes. Because if you go in looking for doubts or like looking for things, it's like you're going to find
it's easy to find. It's easy to find whatever you're looking for, right? So if you just go with an open mind, open heart, I think, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, well, that was a great conversation.
So fun, guys. This is so fun. I love podcasts.
So much. I know you are great. And you had great advice. So I hope that can help some people. I think it will.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Well, we can't thank you enough for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, guys. I was so enthralled when you sent me the text. So.
Oh my gosh, we're like, we have to have Teo before he gets too big for us. Like, we need to have him on now.
You got to get him now, and then when you grow, we're
like, look who we have on our podcast.
Ride that wave with you. We'll just keep editing the thumbnail to like have new pictures of you. Update description.
I love that.
Okay, where can people keep in touch with you?
So my Instagram, it's Teo Santos. TikTok is the same, and then my website is itsteo.com.
Wow, it's Teo.
.com.
That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, right?
Yeah, it
Wow.
is cool.
Yeah, Teo.com is also available, but it is currently $800,000, which I don't have
Oh
to
my
invest in a
God.
URL.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year I can invest in $1 million URL, but for now,
Wow.
Yes.
cannot.
Well, we'll have your links below.
Cool.
But thank you so much for coming on. Go check out Teo. Go follow him, everything he's doing. And we'll see you guys next week.
Take it easy, guys.
Bye.